Good morning, Texas faithful. It is Monday, September 16th, after the UTSA win. I'm here with Eric Nalin and Coach Dub on here, Coach Williams. And we are going to, of course, answer your questions. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. And then also, we have a promo code running right now. IT1 will get you 2 months for $1. Hell of a deal. On today's show, y'all, we are going to discuss Texas #1 AP poll ranking. Should we be fearful of such a powerful ranking? Number two, we're going to talk latest on Quinn Ewers' injury and what sources inside the program thought about Arch Manning's performance and Texas's extreme depth and development that we've seen over a couple of years, but that depth this year is something new. And then how will success this season impact future recruiting success? I'm excited. Good morning, fellas. How art thou?
I'm great. It's been a productive morning so far. I'm ready to get some more stuff done.
Cool. All right, let's not waste any time here. Should the Longhorn, battered fan syndrome, make us fearful of that AP poll #1 ranking? Eric, what do you think?
No, not at all. We wrote this morning in a team information post. That their expectations haven't changed at all for themselves. They haven't accomplished anything yet. They do appreciate the ranking. They feel like it's a sign of how far the program has come. And really, it has come a long way in a short time. It wasn't all that long ago that the team was 5-7. A lot of these coaches were there for 5-7. A handful of the players were. A lot of the coaches were there for 8-5. A lot of the players were. So this is just an acknowledgement of their hard work, their trust in the coaches having a good plan for them. But as the source said, if they're ranked number 23 or 22 or whatever, they'd still have to win enough games to win the national championship because that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. I'm cool with it, man. I like being #1. That sounds good to me. And then that also, there's some gamesmanship too. You want to be in that top 4 because if you do lose a game, you're going to drop less. So the concept of like rankings don't matter. I wish in a perfect world they didn't. They absolutely do. And unfortunately, preseason rankings end up mattering a lot. So, Coach, what's your perspective? I know the coaches you guys all lie to yourselves and say they don't matter, but what's the actual thought process there?
No, man, you embrace this thing. I think it's a great detriment to your hard work, right? All the work you put in, and as every coach will say, you earn what you get, right? And so they put in the work, they earn this. So be proud, embrace it. But now let's go to work, right? Let's stay there. And so no, I love this. I'm sure Coach Sark probably had to talk like, hey, one game at a time, want to know mentality, but like embrace this because you earned everything you got. So yeah, embrace it.
Hey, who was the first to tweet it out? I mean, Texas football tweeted it out like the second the AP dropped it. They had a graphic ready to go.
Yeah,
they were ready to roll. They should embrace it. It's a great recruiting tool.
Yeah,
and it's a great acknowledgement of how far they've come. But it's nobody cares about being ranked #1 compared to what the ultimate goal is. But it's a sign that they're on the right track. And it's hilarious. They've been in the SEC. They haven't even played an SEC game, but they're in the SEC. Heading into the SEC, they're the top team in the country is pretty damn funny.
Yeah, it's and then now kind of the thing I've heard is like, now you've made Georgia mad. Now you've done it. And remember, they were doing that with Bama last year too. Like Bama's being disrespected, and it's like Texas still won. So I'm tired of the whole the hero worship of Georgia and Alabama. Like anytime they go to #2, it's like, now you guys have really done it.
Yeah, like you've overthrown the aristocracy, and we're insurgents now.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, Alabama. Nobody's talking about Alabama. It seems like they look better than Georgia right now. I know they haven't really played anybody with a pulse, but yeah, I'm excited. We can talk about them later. But it's Texas's turn. Texas. It's just been a long time coming, but I think you can see if you follow it closely or close enough, especially on Inside Texas. You could see the slow buildup. We've been talking about this even since 5-7 that they're going in the right direction. 8-5 was a good sign. It was the year before the year. 12-2 was the year, and then they went all in because they had enough pieces coming back. And this is like looking like the year where they can actually compete on the national stage.
Yeah, and to lose 11 guys to the draft, that was the question: is Texas going to TCU this? Nope. Right back to #1 in the country. So that's when you get into real program building and sustained success. That's a different tier than making the playoffs once.
Absolutely.
So that's absolutely going to be awesome. Of course, we are obligated. I think once every 10 minutes, Arch Manning has to be mentioned. But first, let's discuss Quinn Ewers' injury. you reported something, Eric, on it a couple of times. So give the fans the latest update on old Quinn.
Yeah, what I said on the post game show. Make sure you're checking us out immediately after every game. Was that there was no concerns about it. He's fine. Any time he's held out is simply precautionary. And that held true in checking with people the following day on Sunday. Sounds like he could play this week if he needed to. I don't think you're going to see him. I don't see the need to him. The week-to-week characterization is accurate. I think he is going to play versus Mississippi State, but not a ton. They're not very good. And then he's got a bye, of course, to really tune in, get his body right. Nobody's concerned about his injuries, and nobody's concerned about the play of the backup.
Yeah. What did sources think of Archer's performance?
They weren't surprised at all. They expect him to play at a high level. Obviously, there's some things he can speed up that'll come with reps.
Right.
But, they say he's a playmaker, and playmakers make plays. The source said, that's going to bite him at times. So, like it bit Pat Mahomes yesterday, like it bites a lot of really good quarterbacks. He's got that willingness to throw the ball and try to make plays with his legs. It can get him in trouble at times. But, everybody's really excited about it. They expected it. They're happy for him to get out there and play. Obviously, most people that come in with his pedigree and his readiness to play would not be sitting around for 2 years. And so they were happy to see him getting some playing time. But everybody knows at the same time that it's Quinn Ewers' team. They're just happy to have really two good quarterbacks with one starter.
Good stuff. We got any updates on Akana? Seems like he played more last year in the ends of games, unless I missed him out there this season.
No, he's 46, right? I don't recall seeing him. I'll have to ask about him. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that need to develop. He needs more physical development. The other guys kind of have the size and need more technical development. Maybe they're waiting for him to get more physical development first. He's a good pass rusher. Quality player. I haven't heard anything. Interesting question. I haven't even thought about it. But I'll make sure to ask about him.
Cool. And then Eric kind of already hit this. He might play lightly in Mississippi State. So we'll just have to see. But
yeah, I don't really think they need to play him. Obviously, Mississippi State has an okay passing attack. That's kind of, trying to go into the teeth of the Texas defense. The Texas has a really good pass defense. Texas should be able to run the ball versus them. I know we got another question from Brett Nelson here touching on running the ball, but what's the risk reward there? I mean, I guess the risk reward is, the reward would be he puts up Heisman stats. The risk is that he gets hurt. Would you rather have a national championship or Heisman? Ideally, you'd have both, but I think everybody in the right mind would take that national championship over the Heisman. So I think they're going to be a little bit precautious with him. Sark tends to be precautious when he can with his players. He does that throughout even the offseason. Jahdae Barron had a very light load this offseason. Jaden Blue had a very light load in August. He's just playing the long game, plays the long game and everything does. Recruiting classes, the season. That's kind of why he builds the depth that he has. So if you have the depth, you might as well use it.
Yeah, he was talking about load management with Belichick and NFL coaches on how to go all the way in playoffs. So that's kind of tricky. Sounds like Quinn will be back for Mississippi State. We're not announcing that. Just
Brett, are you listening to the show? We've already talked about this twice. You can turn your mic up, or you're not your headphones up. Yeah. He could be back for MSU. He could be back next week. He's not going to be back next week because he doesn't need to be back next week. So could and would and should are different considerations. Yep. If Georgia was walking into town next week, Quinn Ewers would play.
Okay, cool. ULM's 2-0 though, baby. Who knows? Who knows what can go on in that one? Glad to have Arch getting solid reps. He needs it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, somebody brought up 2009 when Garrett Gilbert was getting his first action, or a lot of his first action against Alabama in the national championship game. You would have liked to see him. Too many of those games. That 2019 was not nearly as explosive as 2008. Too many games were too close, and he didn't get much playing time. Give Arch the start. What's the worst that can happen? He throws a couple picks. Texas struggles. They actually have to overcome a little bit of adversity against a pretty poor team. Fans go a little bit crazy on our game threads. If that's the worst thing, I'll take it, as opposed to the risk of losing Quinn for a longer duration.
Yeah, 100%. It's we don't want to lose him going into SC play. Right. Coach, what's your strategy on it?
Yeah, I would say that was actually a good point to bring up with the Gilbert situation. I'm glad to see him get reps. I think it's necessary. I think it's good. I think you saw around the country, people lose quarterbacks. They don't have them. They don't have a second quarterback who can come in and produce at the same, quality of level. So getting them good reps, having them get a start, get games under his belt, I don't see a problem with it. It's what Sark talked about with building depth on the team and having great quality depth, letting everybody play. And not just Arch. You see everybody kind of getting in. So I think he's playing a long game, like Eric said. He planned on playing, 15, 16 games here. Like, we're trying to win it all, so you got to get everybody ready. You never know when you'll need them. So, yeah, letting Arch get reps now is just getting him prepared.
Well, if he can get starter reps during practice too, that'll be a different thing, right? Getting thrown into the game versus getting a full week of preparation too. So that'll be interesting to see him if he gets all those starter reps. He knows he's starting this week, that kind of stuff. That'll be interesting to see as well. Any of the concern over the lack of dominant running game against UTSA, Colorado State? I'll let you guys go. You have no protest. I have a little bit of protest.
Yeah, I don't see an issue. I don't see the lack of dominant versus running game. I thought they're mixing and matching against UTSA this past Saturday night, letting everybody kind of get carried, right? So you're just trying to get a feel for it. But if you look at Bo Gibson, man, he did a great job. Besides the one fumble near the red zone, he was averaging almost 9 yards a clip, right, running the football. So he was very dominant for a freshman running the ball and getting the majority of the carries in the game. We talked about load management when the show started. So, with Blue being out, then Wiseman getting some carries, and then you saw Gardner in there. You saw Nibbler back in the backfield. So you guys were just mixing and matching. So, no, I'm not really concerned about the lack of being a dominant running game versus UTSA. And like I said, Colorado State, I know we've mentioned it multiple times. They took away they trying to take away the deep ball, right? And we ran the ball pretty well against Colorado State. Multiple missed tackles, making guys miss in space. Thought we had a good running game. And they continued versus Michigan. And then UTSA, like I said, mixing and matching. Losing your top 2 running backs, you're just trying to see what everybody has. And I thought we performed well running the ball with guys who normally don't see carries and that load of the vocal carries that they got. So, no, I'm not concerned whatsoever.
I mean, you've got Arch Manning back there. You've already got a dominant running game when he's in the game. I would be a lot more concerned about the run game if they weren't such good at short, intermediate, quick perimeter passing. That's kind of, to me, is like the idea behind the West Coast offense, was to get the ball out in space and out in the flats. They're dominating in that regard. And the RPO game is taking up for some of that lack of it's keeping the wear and tear off the running backs. And at the same time, they did a good job of getting the ball into Jarrett Gibson. I do think they're still figuring out, hey, life without Jaden Blue and CJ Baxter. Jaden Blue only for a short period of time. They're going to keep the wear and tear off. They're not going to have this. They're not going to go in and try to run the ball 35 times. That doesn't make any sense. I said this the second CJ Baxter got hurt, that against the bad teams, they should whip the ball around, throw it a lot more. Against the good teams, when you want that run-pass conflict, which they're actually creating with the RPOs anyways, that's the time to run it more. So I'm not concerned. Maybe it'll rear its head against a good defense that they'll see eventually, I assume. Georgia. OU's defense isn't bad. But I'm not worried about it yet. There's a lot of ways to move with the idea of getting 5-6 yards, and they're having no problem doing that. Just like a lot of times those 5-6 yard passes are going for 20 yards or further.
Yeah, the perimeter passing game really makes up for it. And also, we got to be in context, right? 2 running backs were out. My only issue is we're having a little bit of issues with the rushing power success rate. All that means is 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, got to have it yards. We had some struggles with that last year as well. And that can end up causing some issues versus a Georgia versus Oklahoma. Of course, it's never an issue versus UTSA, but we're trying to project down here. As far as Texas numbers on everything else, I mean, everything is just green, baby. These are the only parts where you see red. And so you just want to be aware of that. But I think our passing game is so dominant, we end up making up for it. And like we said, we get Blue back whenever we get him back. We don't know when we're getting him. I think it should be better. But we have had a little bit of struggles there. It will be something to watch just so we can have at least one thing to stress about, right? We can't have all fun this season.
Jose, I sure hope not. I don't want to see him. Keep him out of this game. Let him have the bye. The bye is about as dangerous as the ULM, but on the scoreboard, but not on the field. It doesn't take much to get rolled up on. Just some bad luck. I don't understand the infatuation with wanting to see your best players when you have such minimal depth. I just don't. I hope to not see him until OU. A running back is not a position where you have to, knock off the rust. I don't think. He'll get reps that week of practice against getting ready for OU, and he'll be ready to go. Now maybe we see him for Mississippi State. I guess I don't know. Mississippi State is, they have a poor rush defense as well. I would just rather see these guys are too important to be playing with, and the schedule sets up so favorable for Texas to rest their players. But coming into the season, we knew that the schedule was pretty easy to start. We didn't know it was going to be this easy. I don't think they're going to give up 8 points by the end of this. They'll have given up 8 points for the first month of the season, probably. If you don't rest your best players, then I don't know when you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we keep going, y'all, let us hear a quick word from our sponsor, Andre, the lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre, the lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre, the lawyer, to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre, the lawyer, today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
All right, we got from John A. Sark's recipe for long-term success: recruiting pitch, and with playing time, develop talent. Culture to be drafted. Show recruits a success and repeat process every year. Hats off to him. Yeah, that's the vicious cycle of Alabama and Georgia, right? You get your players in the draft, then the next group of recruits say, wow, you got a lot of people drafted, and then you just start this snowball effect that can hopefully last for years.
Yeah, everybody's in various stages of development. And so one guy rolls off the assembly line, another guy moves to the front, and there's another guy right behind him. And the portal really helps. He's done a masterful job of not only, getting guys in the portal, but keeping the good players out of the portal. And then once you start winning, it all becomes transactional. Guys are willing to wait longer for the playing time. But because they rotate so much, you don't really have to wait. You get to play. Look at all the first and second year players right now. Second year players are starring in a number of roles. And first year guys are showing to be the next wave of stars too. So he's got a really good plan. It's been going into effect since that 2022 class. That 2022 class was just that first wave. Luckily, did enough job developing Herman's players to create a more of a winning team. But now it's a full-on assembly line, and that thing's moving fast.
Yeah, the caliber of athlete. When you just watch this team come out of the tunnel, it's a different thing, man. And I think I want to hit it. Is the second team top 25? This is Eric's pet theory. He's been developing it all season. I think he can prove right. There's no way to actually prove it, but I think it is an interesting topic. Do you want to actually go through it? Actually look if this team was – so number 2, your quarterback would be Arch Manning.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Your receivers are awesome.
Yeah, your 2s at wide receiver would be Jonte Cook, Ryan Wingo, Silas Bolden, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
looking pretty good.
Who's your 2s at second string? So left tackle, Gooseby.
Yep. Left guard would be Neto. Center would be Cole Hudson. Right guard might be Nate Kibble. They might have to move that around. It could be Connor Robertson, but then put Cole Hudson at right guard. And then right tackle, Brandon Baker. So you've got some good spots in your line, definitely some talent. You're probably going to want to run behind Neto, Gooseby, and Connor, or Cole Hudson at center. So the offensive line is not going to be a strength, but that's better than the offensive line they had Sark's first year at Texas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then our running backs would be our current running backs.
If we had any. Yeah, Colin Page might be second team by then. Yeah. You got Juan Davis would be your second team tight end. You can play winning football with him. You'd probably play Amari Niblack a little bit more. You'd probably play Jordan Washington a little bit more. Tight end's okay. It's not great. But again, because you have those wide receivers and that quarterback and a decent, and some places to run the ball, you can easily build a core identity on offense.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a little scary with the offensive line. But if we're talking top,
that offense is better than a number of offenses that are currently in the top 25. A number of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely better than OU's. It's definitely better than A&M's. Just talking about some of the regional guys. A&M got cute and snuck in there with that monster win over Florida. They're just that offense is a lot better because they could control. If you control the game from the pocket, like we've seen Texas do this season. Good things happen on offense. You control the game with it's not necessarily a run game, but you can, like I said, perimeter passing. You can still go vertical. Ryan Wingo's the most talented wide receiver on the team, one of the most talented wide receivers in the country. I think that's beyond dispute after only 3 games in his career.
This freshman wide receiver class is crazy. It's like nationwide.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and you got Arch to Wingos. You can make a lot of hay off of that.
Yeah, they're already starting to develop that second string defense.
Yeah, edge would be Colin behind Trey, right? At least for now, or it would be Trey Moore. Take your pick. All right, so you got Trey or Colin at Buck. Your backups would be Jermaine Lole and I guess Bill Norton. And then your second team, Jack, is Ethan Burke.
Yeah,
that's not a bad defensive line at all. It's definitely a top 25 defensive line. Ethan Burke has played the run very well. I don't know how much longer we're going to call Colin Simmons second string, but they're still in good shape. Your linebackers are in good shape. You're going to have Leonga Lafau and Maurice Blackwell, and then you got Ty Anthony Smith still, I saw everybody knife through him. Every time you see Ty Anthony Smith, say, man, Inside Texas was talking about him a long time ago. Secondary, you got Gavin Holmes. Your other corner would be probably Kobe Black, Jelani McDonald, Derek Williams at safety. And then star would be, you can't really say Jadae Barron because he's really a starter. He's really the second team star, but you can still throw Jordan Johnson-Robel in there. Wouldn't be the greatest defense of all time, but again, you got pieces to build around. You can create an identity pretty easily. That second team, Texas, is a top 25 team. I mean, maybe I'll only say it because I can't be proven wrong. But I feel pretty confident watching the rest of the college football landscape. There's not a ton of good teams this year.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. David Keith Williams. Coach Sark has repeatedly said his ones are his twos and his twos are his ones. Every player on the Texas 2-deep should legitimately be good enough to start.
You saw the comment that Michael Terry gave Justin yesterday that the twos look like ones. I had somebody that was at a scrimmage, the second scrimmage, I believe, this August, who's seen a ton of football in his lifetime, and he said he could barely tell the difference. So yeah, they've done a great. It's just testament to the roster management, program building that Sark has done. Testament to NIL. Testament to good recruiting. Testament to the culture at Texas is retaining talent. They have not lost a single player that they wanted to keep. A lot of people disputed me on that on Terrence Brooks. No offense to Terrence Brooks, but that was not a full-hearted effort to keep him. They felt good about what they had coming back, and here they are. It's Sark is he's become the coach that we have been thinking he's going to become for a long time.
Texas beats. Oh no, Eric, you've now made the muffin tier, dude. We got 3 on staff. We got 3 stud muffins on staff.
A $2 stud muffin, huh? All right.
Yeah, you're the bargain bin stud muffin, but it's got to be an honor, man. You calling Ian, that'll change the trajectory of your whole day, man.
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
Now I can skip the gym.
Yeah, you're good. You're already good. I think we're all aware of your feelings on Vernon Broughton. Yes, we are. I actually think Broughton has been the biggest positive surprise on defense and Gunnar Helm on offense. What's your view? I mean, Eric just wrote a piece. I think he'd happen to agree with you there.
Yeah, maybe Dave is finally back on the board because I mentioned those two in the Sunday 6-pack yesterday. I want Charlie's take on this. I think Gunnar's been awesome, better athlete. That hurdle caught my attention a little bit. And then, Broughton, I've been a Broughton truther forever, and he's making me – I was out there on a limb. He's making me look pretty good. But, Charlie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll start with Vernon. And just hearing some people who, got the 10 practicing this summer, talking about Vernon, striking the sleds, sounding like a gunshot or car wreck, right? Like, okay, maybe this guy's really, really it's coming on, right? The light bulb has finally went off or whatever the case. Everything's been put together. And you see him talk about how much of a technician Coach Baker is, and he's really understanding his teaching, right? You kind of see it on the field of what he's doing. And then just to add to that, though, you also posted a clip and you wrote about Alfred Collins splitting a triple team, making a play in the backfield. Like, I don't think you see that in years past, right? And then, of course, I'm president of Gunnar Helm's fan club, man. I'm sorry. I love Gunnar Helm. I thought he could be this before. Now he just needed more reps and more opportunity, but I love Gunnar Helm's game, man. If you go back and watch his high school tape, you can kind of see him split out wide, making plays like a receiver. And Eric, you mentioned this multiple times, and he even mentioned it in a post-game interview. Like, he was turning backflips in high school. It's like I've always been an athlete, right?
Yeah.
Y'all may have not known it, but I've always been an athlete. I've always been this guy. And so I'm so happy he's getting this opportunity. But I've always thought Gunnar Helm was a guy, just a better overall tight end than most people gave him credit for. But, man, I love this guy. And I think he's going to continue to get more targets, and you might see him finish as the third, I don't know, leading receiver by the end of the season, man, because I think he deserves it. But he also does a great job in the run game of blocking, too, man. So he's a complete tight end, complete player to me. I love Gunnar Helm. Yeah. That's my dude. I need a T-shirt. Gunnar Helm something. I don't know, man.
We should have let you in on that interview with him, dude.
I love that guy. Dude.
Hey, I'm not hating on that $2. It's more self-deprecating towards the level of stud muffin I am. It's not had nothing to do with the $2. We appreciate that for sure. It was more of a joke at my own expense.
I was a huge fan of Terrence Brooks. I expected more from him. Imagine if Coach Joseph had been more open to Jabbar Muhammad's reported request for playing time when he was in the transfer portal.
Then what? He'd be starting behind who, or starting in front of, or I mean, they'd have better depth. But I mean, you got Jahdae Barron, and what, Jabbar's going to come in and knock out his cousin Malik? That'd be hilarious.
That would be awkward.
Yeah, I mean, so you're missing a giant part of the equation there, Mr. Williams, is the cost that would have been, and that money could have gone somewhere else. At the same time, they got Jahdae Barron and Malik Muhammad. And I kind of appreciate Texas's approach of being honest with these guys. Nothing is given, which is kind of why Terrence left. But again, I know the number that it would have cost to get Jabbar, and I think they applied it very well elsewhere to bigger needs.
Also, if they're the same family, if Jabbar's getting it, if I'm Malik, I'm gonna be like, I talked to him. I want the same thing. So
I think Malik's in a good spot there. Texas knows what they have. All right. Texas knows what they have with Malik.
Yeah. So how much is the number one rating going to affect our recruiting? Is this another downstream effect? This is going to matter more in the coming classes type thing than an immediate effect?
No, I think it helps now a little bit. There's still plenty of meat left on the bone for defensive recruiting. I wrote about this in the Sunday Six Pack that I think Texas is in position to really make waves in recruiting and start getting to that level where, I mean, they've already been extremely good, but they can start getting into that Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama rarefied air. I do think things like this help. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea where this thing is headed with Arch and Quinn. Arch and Quinn this year. That's media catnip. But then Arch going into next year, after whatever season Texas has this season, it's going to be a good season. We can all assume. The media hype is going to be at an all-time high just when those kids are starting to make decisions in the summer of 2025. So I think, Texas is in a good spot. Now, I do caution Texas fans are way more impatient than the Texas staff. So there's going to be guys that they pass on that, fans won't understand. But you have to trust that this staff knows what they're doing. The mental evaluation is every bit as important as the physical traits, the athletic traits, and definitely a lot more important than the rankings. So they're still going to have their approach, and they're going to miss some guys because they're not going to want to play ball. It's still, you guys have financial concerns. You got to address your biggest needs first. Next year, they'll probably be looking at an offensive tackle more so than this year, where they decided to pull back on Fasusi. So there's going to be considerations. That's why you read Inside Texas, because we break it all down in real time. We'll tell you when it's time to worry, and there have not been many times to worry in the last few years.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Lance Jackson and Jonah Williams are 5 stars. Any other commits have a
Did
chance?
It finally happened. We will Lance Jackson into existence.
Yeah, he just got number 13.
Nice. When I knew that was going to happen because they were absolutely blown away when he walked in the room in Nashville for that On3 event. He walked, and that's basically how I was the first time I saw him. Usually around every October, I write about my favorite commits for the class ahead, guys I covet for that class, and Lance was on that list. I didn't care if they got him as a tight end or an edge. When I saw him in person, I was just absolutely blown away. Jaw-dropping build. Combined with his movement skills, to me, it's right to make him a 5-star because he's guaranteed to get drafted at a minimum, relatively high if he stays injury free and works just average. And so if he does that, he's a no doubt 5-star. I'm glad to see that. It's well deserved. And then Jonah was already a 5-star everywhere else. Was he not a 5-star on On3?
I guess not, because it said he has the little new 5-star badge too that they put on.
Okay, so he must not have been one for On3. I kind of understand what they said. They clarified it when he committed, that they early on they didn't know exactly where his body was going to go, what position he would play, If he was going to be a plus-sized safety, did he have the physicality and sort of movement skills for it? I mean, obviously he has all that, the ball skills. He could play wide receiver at a very high level as well.
Yeah.
So that's good. That'll help class rankings. And it's kind of like the Heisman Trophy. It doesn't mean anything outside of the person that gets the award, but it's good for the overall program. It's good branding, and good recruits beget more good recruits.
Yeah, and then we'll have to see if our current 5 stars get dropped or anything. I don't know if it changes when other guys come in. If it ends up,
they're not dropping Jamie French after that clip the other night.
Man,
yeah.
Did you see that? That looked like Peter Warwick.
Yeah, he gave him a good dead leg, man. Dude fell all over himself, man.
He went sideways, moving full speed. That was probably my favorite clip of the season so far.
That dude's so good with media while not being arrogant. He's like a good mix of like very humble, but also knows exactly what he's doing whenever he's playing the media game. Like a nice, proper kid, but also wearing an insane chain.
I wish I had his ability to smile while I talk like he did. People would think I don't have a RBF nearly as much. He's just smiling the whole time he talks. He's a very engaging kid. Really enjoy talking to him and talking to his mother. Good folks, man. Texas sets up well for good folks.
Yeah, he's an awesome kid. First year in the SEC in 3 games in, Texas is ranked number 1. Aggies are in shambles. We did see Message Board Genius, their post of saying that the fix is already in. The world is already conspiring to make Texas number 1.
It's amazing. They got to I think the Texas had 35 votes or 33 votes, and Georgia had 20 something. So the big orange, burnt orange media conspiracy got to 30 of the voters, but not the 20 of the other voters.
Yeah. It's got to be exhausting to constantly have to like do the gymnastics for 40 years.
That's terrible.
Jatavion Sanders left Texas as an All-American. Gunnar Helm could likely be an All-American this season.
Yes. Easy answer.
Coach loves
Sorry, man. Yes, Gunnar Helm is showing. I think he's probably showing why he's probably a better tight end in the country, not just like on the team or in the country, like in SEC.
Oh, you need to settle down there a little bit, Coach.
I don't know. I just feel like
you would take him over Loveland up in Michigan
at this point.
You would?
I love him. Has all the hype coming to the season, but Gunnar, because he's had no reps, he's done it.
We're also seeing Gunnar in a real offense.
True. That's true. That's true. But I don't know, man.
Gunnar gets to take advantage of a lot of space. But he's a terrific player. When we heard from the word on the internal word was he's a future NFL player, we're like, all right, we trust you guys, but still need to see this with my own eyes. He started a flash last year, and this year he looks like he's ready to go, man. That was a very good idea. Didn't Herman get him? That's a Herman get, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, because when we interviewed him, we had talked to him about like what was it like to be on Herman's staff, and then he gets fired after Alamo Bowl, and now Sark's coming in. So yeah, he was a Herman guy originally.
Oh yeah, because he came in with Jatavion and won.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Next season, Texas could have the 2 best young tight ends in the nation with Jordan Washington and Nick Townsend. Now, this is Eric's favorite tight end here, Nick Townsend. Not to mention Amari Nyblack if he returns. Yeah, we have some athletes coming down the pipe at tight end.
Oh man, I love Nick Townsend. He's a rolling ball of butcher knives. Another one of those guys that can play offense or defense. You love to see that because they should have the physicality for it. Jatavion is kind of notwithstanding. But yeah, Jordan Washington, love him. Townsend, Nyblack, I don't know why he would leave. He just needs to block better. Let's come be Juan Davis, but add a even more diverse receiving threat. Tight end's going to be in decent shape next year. I know a lot of people are going to lament the loss. Probably Coach Williams the most of Gunnar Helm, but tight end's going to be in a good spot next year.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
I like that. I'm a fan of Nick Townsend too. I think that guy's an absolute stud, man. When he get on campus, people will see. Like you look at him, you'll see.
He should be top 50 guy in the nation at minimum.
Yeah.
So I feel confident. These guys that I've actually met and got to know and got to talk to and watch work and practice, I feel ultimately confident in the evaluation. That guy is all football all the time. That's kind of what attracted him to Alabama. Every time I talk to him, what are you looking for in school? I want to be coached hard. I want to be coached like I'm coached here. And he was playing Wildcat. I got to kind of check the sanity of the coaches here, but he was playing Wildcat with Duquesne up 40 points the other day. He just loves football. That whatever position you put him at, he's going to ball out at. And I think he's a perfect fit for the scheme, but also Jeff Banks' coaching style.
Yeah.
Was it Jordan Washington that was standing? Remember the Michigan video at halftime where we were standing playing Boosie? Was it Jordan Washington standing next to Sark in that video? Because it looked like
that was Baron Sorrell.
That was Barron?
Yeah.
I thought it was Jordan.
I'm pretty sure it's Baron. You know, Baron's from New Orleans. He's definitely going to feel Boosie.
Oh, he had to be up front for that.
Jordan's from Langham Creek. That's like, Paul Wall committing territory.
Yeah. And then, of course, UT boy that actually might be Jonte Cook in disguise. We're not sure yet.
It's got to be Jonte at this point. Hey, I was the second. Yeah, our text group was going wild after that because we get asked about YouTube. No more else on earth is Jonte Cook. Jonte Cook is mentioned more on YouTube than Kamala Harris. Yep. He is. We all love him. We all love Jonte, but we just they got a lot of good receivers. You can only feed one at a time. But every time they throw to him or Wingo, good things happen.
His acceleration on that catch too, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy when he's never mentioned as one of the fastest guys in the room because when you see his play speed, that burst of 0 to 60 is really good. I don't think he has a drop in his time at Texas. Good things happen. And that's why people say, well, if he doesn't get his touches this year, he's going to transfer. Well, why on earth would he do that? He's guaranteed the same touches Bond is getting or Gold is getting this year. And what does that mean? That means at least 60 catches. It means probably 8, 9, 10 touchdowns. And it means going off to the NFL after year 3, right on time in the first or second round.
Yeah, and an offense that you already know. You don't have to learn. I mean, you're getting positioned to –
Arch Manning throwing you the freaking football.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, it sets up. Does Sark need another draft class like last year to start to make the transactional a pitch to potential recruits? If so, then I think – that's when this thing really pops off. Also, OU sucks. That's a good second point there.
Well, I think it's already popping off. I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding. Like, you just had, 11 draft picks. They're performing well on the field. You got guys who are steady raising their draft stock through 3 games already, right? And so I think it'll continue. I think it's already popping off. I think it's already happening. And so come next April, you probably see you could see another close to 10-digit draft picks. Who knows? Yeah. But man.
That's something else I mentioned in the Sunday 6-pack. You guys should go read it. It's $1 if you use IT1. That's going to coincide around the same time that all the hype machine's going off on Arch. They'll be coming out of spring football. You'll have the NFL draft. You're going to have another 11 guys go. I penciled it out last week. I think I got up to 11 before I started talking about maybes and couldas and these differing scenarios. That's going to be it's going to be back-to-back classes. And it's kind of dependent on if they keep winning too. Winning begets more draft picks. All that last year. If Texas goes out and wins a national championship, there's going to be guys that would. It's funny. It's kind of fickle. But if they lose, let's say they lose in round 2, there will be guys that wouldn't get drafted than if they played in the national championship game or won the national championship. So go out and win it all, and then good things follow.
I always wonder that. Is it chicken or the egg? Are you going far because you have NFL players, or are you getting drafted because you have more exposure and you play far? I think it's a little bit of both. Because it's not just every time it's NFL players, but clearly there's some bias there for champion teams.
For some players it's both. For some players it's hey, they're just a baller. But exposure is good. That's what happened with that TCU class. I forget what they had. They had might have had 11 guys drafted that year. They went to the national championship. It's nothing but good things when you win.
Exactly.
LC, hell of a picture there, LC. How close do you think Texas is to getting a Sark discount NIL deals, a la the Saban discount at Bama?
What is that shirt he's wearing?
I know, man.
Goodness gracious.
He's doing headshots. It's got to be acting career stuff.
Yeah, he was trying to get on one of those Baywatch revivals.
Yeah.
I think that coincides with what we're talking about with the drafts. Making everything transactional. Yeah, you're gonna take a little bit less. It's not in all cases, right? He's not gonna be Nick Saban. Even if he ever becomes Nick Saban, it's not gonna be for a while. Jim Harbaugh got the discount to some degree, but that also kind of coincides with the players that Harbaugh was selecting too.
Right,
taking the highest profile recruits. So they're gonna have to be quite competitive. They'll save a nickel here or there. It'll definitely help, especially they're getting guys to the NFL at every single position. Every position on this team has at least one NFL draft pick, at least one. Even quarterback, the most limited position on the roster, has at least 2, I should say.
Yeah.
They got 2 safeties. They got 2 linebackers that go in the league. They've got, I mean, it's just everywhere. Every single position has multiple NFL players. So it's not like other schools are going to be able to just pick and choose where they want to go against Texas. They're going to have a heavy load every time, no matter what position they're recruiting against.
Yeah. Off topic, will Oklahoma ever schedule any good non-con games? Temple, Maine, Houston, Tulane, come on. Their fan base is annoying to listen to after their week win. I mean, they did try to schedule Georgia. That got taken off when they went to the SEC. They did schedule Nebraska, but also Nebraska isn't good. I mean, they do this so far ahead of time. It's kind of luck of the draw if they're going to be good anyways. But I think they had some big enough brands. But, yeah, overall, they kind of play the safer strategy versus Texas strategy, which I love, that they're always trying to play some big name week 2 and really pop off and non-conference.
They're damn sure not going to be ready this weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's for sure.
But they kind of got the SEC scheduling mindset already at OU.
That's a good point.
Amari Nyblack might be one of the most athletically gifted tight ends in the country, if not the most athletic.
No, he is. And if you go look at Inside Texas on YouTube videos, we did a breakdown on Nyblack, man. He is gifted, athletically gifted, man. He's like he moves like a receiver, but he's a big tight end. But like Eric mentioned, kind of work on the blocking, but he's super athletic. This guy, you can move him in multiple positions and have him line up at receiver. You can have him line up in at H, right? He can do a lot of different things on the field because he is that gifted. But I think at Texas, they'll find a way to kind of get him involved. Maybe as the season goes on, who knows? But he got 2 guys that's balling in front of him right now, and Helm and Juan Davis is doing an excellent job. You see him in motion, moving around, doing a lot of different things, right? So I think Nyblack could kind of get in and show off his athletic ability as the season goes on. So we'll see. But yeah, he's super athletic. I can't wait to see him grow into maybe a complete player, because I think he has all the tools, man.
Yeah, that's what I have to figure out. Is he a tight end or is he just a big wide receiver? And that's kind of the question for me. LC with a clapback. Your mom took it as far as that photo. My mother happens to be a saint. I would never engage in something like that, LC.
My mom was a huge Baywatch fan, so that's
let's see. Many don't like to see the high amount, the vague many. Many don't like to see the high amount of rotation on defense, especially the secondary.
Oh man, we got to mention for Kamala, we're gonna have to go with Trump. That's
a Trump. People are saying they don't like the high amount.
Everybody's saying who is saying that? Nobody's saying that. The secondary is balling out. The secondary, it's either the secondary or the wide receivers are the best position group on the team. Play them all, dude. Play them all. They're awesome. You got Derek Williams not even starting. I mean, you got to play that guy. Jelani McDonald is, he missed the last game, but that guy's a good player. You got to play these guys. Nobody's saying that except maybe one guy, maybe one CrossFitting KRS One listening to guy in North Carolina is saying that. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, Homer, you mentioned something about that. When they do rotate, you really can't tell who's in the game because the level of performance does not drop off. Like they all have the same.
Well, I can tell when Michael Tapp goes off.
Man. I can tell Michael Tapp, yeah, but I'm saying, those guys are really performing well and producing, so you really can't tell when they switch out. I know Muhammad went out and Gavin Holmes came in. Most people didn't even notice it, right? Because the level of play didn't drop off. So,
yeah,
hey, let them all play.
Yeah, man, they're all athletes. And before we keep going, y'all, let us hear a word from the one, the only, Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
Do so. If you're in the Austin area, she is the one to call. Let's see.
I got one. Yeah. So I don't know the next class ahead like I know the current one, obviously. I just don't have enough time for it. I focus on the team a lot this time of year. Obviously, I'd never turn off recruiting. You can't afford to do that. But I looked at 2026 a little bit this summer, and I was not super impressed. Love Turntine, love Javian Osborne, love Jamarian Carlton. There's a couple other running backs I like. There is a couple other DBs I like. But it's a thin class. It's going to be time to go big game hunting nationally. It's going to be time to hit the West Coast, the SEC. And this is, again, it's going to be the right time to do it if they keep winning. If they keep winning, they're going to get a lot more traction than they have in the past. Each year builds on the next. That's going to be the year to go after the number one class. And it might actually be a blessing in disguise that the in-state is not as strong as normal, because they're not going to, there might be some guys that they would take normally that they're not going to take just because they can go out of state and do it. So they're not going to reach. This would be terrifying if it was Mac Brown as the head coach, because he would take the best in 2026 and say, hey, got the best class in Texas. But down year, if it's a down year, it's a down class. So I like it. The 2026, I'm not loving that class. I think the national approach is going to be the right way to go in that one.
Cool. Texas Beats back in action. Eric, how do we get the hold music changed to set it off? We will work on that, the licensing agreements there.
Yeah. Obviously, Texas has me playing Boosie in the workouts the last couple of days.
Yep. Is there any inside rumblings about Sark's record against OU? Would really love to hear that they're circling this game every year.
Yeah, I mean, last year was this is hinges on what, a minute of play. If they win the last minute last year, nobody's saying a thing. That's not really how it works. You got to go the big picture route. He needs to win it because he needs to win it. They're the better team. Win the game because you're the better team. I kind of go back and forth on treating it differently and treating it as a game to get up for. OU really got up for it last year. They threw everything they had at it, and then they looked like a totally beaten down team in the following weeks. I think Texas should just go about their business, go out there planning to execute with a good game plan, take advantage of having the talent advantage, get out of there with a win, and get ready for Georgia the next week. I don't think I'd play it up all that much this year. But no, nobody's the powers that be. First of all, he's winning so much; he has very few bosses right now. I mean, right. you're getting paid $10 million in winning games at the University of Texas. You keep winning games, and you're kind of your own boss. And maybe not technically, but practically speaking. But yeah, I mean, he's super competitive. So I'm sure he's feeling the internal pressure, but there's no external pressure beyond what comes with being the head coach at Texas.
Speaking of Georgia, if you were Kirby Smart, what would your game plan be against Texas? My guess is Georgia tries to ground and pound their way to a close victory in Austin. I only watched that ending of the game on the live. Coach watched it. How would you?
Yeah, they can try to ground and pound, but they struggle creating space for their running backs to run the ball. They couldn't move the ball much versus Kentucky. Kentucky has a good defensive line. Texas has a good defensive line, right? You don't know what Carson Beck's going to be able to do. I don't know if he got hurt at the end of that Kentucky game. Some people said he had a shoulder injury. So who's their backup? I bet they'd be in better shape if they had a second quarterback like some team. But ground and pound, I don't think it's going to work against Texas. They can try, but they haven't been successful moving the ball on the ground versus – they struggled versus Clemson. They struggled versus Kentucky the other night, consistently running the football. So they can try that approach, but I don't think it's going to work, especially with Texas being able to rotate so many guys up front and be fresh up front. I don't think he can run the ball consistently versus Texas. And so Georgia's going to have to come with a different game plan. Maybe try to throw the ball out in space versus athletes to their, speed quick guys or some jet sweeps or something like that. They're going to have to get creative versus Texas, because I don't see them just lining up and running the ball down Texas' throat whatsoever.
Did they have passing weapons? Do they have passing weapons?
Yeah, they've got a number of good wide receivers. Maybe not elite guys, but they've got a number of good players. And of course, they have a good quarterback. Yeah, they're going to have to try to do what Texas is going to try to do: spread it to run, get the pass to run. But I don't. This isn't Georgia that had like 7 top running backs in a row coming through in just a ground and pound running game. That's not them this year. They have one of our commenters on IT Scherf One has a lot of really good football insights. He's been watching them pretty closely. He's like, this is just not the same dominant Georgia teams that we've seen in the past. It's a good Georgia team. It's not a great Georgia team. It's a team capable of winning the national championship, but it's not one of those teams that you should be in fear of. I think everybody's looking at that Clemson win as something like special. Clemson is not anywhere close. Clemson is a shell of themselves.
They keep getting credit from 5 years ago. And
his resume is his resume. That's fine. Dabo should take that all the way to the Hall of Fame if they want. But that's not the same program it once was. And so, it was a good win for Georgia, not a great win.
Right.
But yeah, there's no reason to fear Georgia at this time. You got to respect them, of course. But my takeaway from that Kentucky game was, even good teams have down weeks. There's no Texas fans are thinking, oh man, Georgia's terrible, all that. Now, if that happened to Texas, they'd be thinking we're terrible. What happened? Everybody needs to be fired, benched, all that. It just happens, and so that should be a wake up call for Texas. Hey, going into Kentucky, Texas gets Kentucky at home, but going into a place like Kentucky, you better buckle your chin strap because they're going to come at you. And Kentucky should have won that game.
But that punt at the end, that was just defeatist. And it was weird after them getting beat by South Carolina like that. I think Georgia thought it was going to be an easier game than it was.
Now, this is absolutely true right here, 100%.
Yeah. Did you guys see the SEC shorts today yet?
No, not yet.
You should watch it. It's funny.
How do they get that stuff out and produce so fast?
It's incredible, man. They're having to write that and return that. They're all having to do all that on a Sunday, man.
Yeah.
What they do is impressive.
Yeah, that's like a Saturday Night Live turnaround. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy what they do. Those guys are really talented to be funny as well, and you have to wait for all the results of the game. That's tricky. Similar to the Michigan game, even though Michigan and Georgia are quite different, I think tight end play on offense and linebacker play on defense for Texas will be important against Georgia. I need to watch them more. I kind of don't. I watch basically just as like a fan, but once we get to like the week of me doing my breakdowns, that's when I watch all the games. So I don't have a lot of great insight.
That's sort of mirroring personnel as Texas. They say similar questions, similar strengths, which is kind of odd to think about with Texas and Georgia. But they have good tight ends. Texas has good tight ends. They've got good wide receivers. Texas has great wide receivers. But yeah, that's obviously going to be a good game for Anthony Hill. Really, there might be in big personnel more, base personnel, whoever's on their tight ends. Like I said, they got two good tight ends and quality wide receivers. It's going to be a good game. I'll be curious to see what the line is, but there's a lot of football between now and then.
Definitely.
Susi will get his playing time. Guessing he could be a winner if he did the right thing. I mean, if he wanted playing time, he did the right thing.
Yeah, definitely.
He's also he's okay. He's got a fail safe there because he didn't. It's not like he went to a bad situation just for the cash. He's going to a place where the Bill Bedenbaugh has an excellent track record for development. His nothing. He risked nothing on his end outside of probably team glory. He's still going to get paid and he's still going to go to the league. I mean, he's okay. I've seen a lot worse decisions. And I'm not even saying his is a bad decision. I've seen some really bad decisions. Guys taking the cash, the easy money. The
wide receivers.
Texas played against one this weekend, in fact. And so, you've got to have a longer view of it. You got to think smart. Sometimes you got to shut out the people in your circle and make a good decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Got a little Ewers will need to get the ball out quickly. Ashley, what's up, Ashley? Which he's very capable of. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What do we think of Ewers having to sit, screwing up Heisman chances?
You come back. If you come back, you play with Oklahoma like he did when he was in, I guess, against Alabama his first year, and then he lit him up. I think he'd be right back where he started. I think besides padding stats versus a ULM where nobody probably pay attention, you come back versus OU and you dominate them like you did your freshman year. I think you're right back in the thick of the Heisman race. It's early in the season. He has a long season. He has some key games. You got Georgia after that, and you got the SEC schedule. So I think he'll be fine, honestly.
Yeah, he has plenty of quote like Heisman moment opportunities this season where people are going to be watching because it's more about the moment than the pure stat.
You'll have Carson Beck on the same field. If he comes back and outduels Carson Beck. Who else is balling right now? Jalen Milroe, who I think was it me and Charlie both picked Jalen? No, oh good Lord, don't get me started on Charlie.
I won't even talk about my pick, but
no, we're not talking about your pick. Me and somebody else had Milroe, I think, and Milroe's balling, but he's got a lot of tough games to.
Nico's going to be good.
Oh yeah, Nico's up there.
Jackson Dart's been playing too.
Yeah, Cam Ward at Miami. Hold on a second here, Jacob Luna. I thought we were on the same page, bud. Does Texas want to flip for Susi? Cash is not infinite; it's finite, and they did not want to get an offensive tackle and everything that goes with it. They're very expensive. That's just going to sit on the bench and have that capital tied up for at least a year, probably 2 years. They feel good about Gooseby. They got Cam Williams still. They've got Brandon Baker right behind them. And so it's just not practical to have all that money sitting on the sidelines. Now you can say, OU fans will say they would have, they're just making excuses. OU might have got him anyways. I don't know for sure, but I do know that Texas felt like, when they saw how the market was playing out for offensive tackles, they're like, no, we can't do that. They got bigger needs to fill. So the same fans are like, well, what are the defensive tackles? Well, they should also get Fasusi. No, it can't work that way. You cannot get the defensive tackles they need and Michael Fasusi in the same class. There's just not enough.
I'm still having to get used to the GM thought process with getting players and thinking about how the money works.
No, I love that aspect. It's a lot. There's a lot more intrigue to it.
Yeah. Is the Heisman vote after the playoff now? I have absolutely no idea.
No, I think it's either before conference championships or right after conference championships. One of the two.
Yeah. Okay. Ewers just needs to play big in the big games. He'll be fine for Heisman. Ward doesn't play anyone good.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Ward's Heisman moments are being stolen from him, right? Florida's terrible. FSU is even worse.
Man, they're bad. I think only has Louisville as a one-ranked team that's left. Honestly, that's it.
Yeah, so Cam Ward he's gonna, maybe he's gonna have to go crazy on the stats to have a chance to overcome the lack of high-profile, games.
Yeah. John Turntime in the 2026 class is more important than Fasusi in 2025 class, in my view.
Yes. Yeah, you got to
agree, definitely.
Yeah, there's certain positions you got to get every year, and those positions typically don't require as much development. When you take an offensive tackle, you need to space them out a little bit. Fasusi's not going to come in and start next year, so you can't just have that sitting on the bench. Turntime, it's going to thin out a little bit. Maybe he sits 1 year or plays partially for his first year, but the timing is going to be better. So it's a lot about roster cycles.
Still feeling confident there, Coach, with Turntime?
Hey man, I love the kid. I do feel confident. Getting to see him week before last, man. I thought it was interesting for him to say, I asked him what his thoughts was on the Michigan game. He's like, I expect Texas to go out there and dominate like we did tonight. And to see he has confidence in the Texas offensive line and Coach Flood, being around and being coached by him this summer, speaks highly, what he thinks about Texas. So yeah, I feel confident.
I should have put in an RPM for him in January. The second his dad said he was number 6 in his class, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, he's smart. Yeah,
that kid's going to UT.
Yeah, Eric, you don't game the RPM system. You're very honorable. You could show up like the day before and just totally cheat your RPM stats, like we've seen with the others. But you seem to actually try to make that a real prediction and
I try to make it predictions. I catch a little flack for it behind the scenes, but I try to keep it as a real prediction.
Yeah, because that system can be gamed for sure. We see it the day before someone commits. Yeah. Everybody from around the nation suddenly has a pick.
All right, let's go to the East Coast and see what LC's yapping about.
Texas is ranked number 1. It seems to me that with the playoff rankings are really only important to Notre Dame unless you're middle of the table in your league.
What is he talking about? It seems to me, yes, no, I'm not sure. It seems to me that the playoff rankings are really only important to ND. Let's go to a different question.
Clarify, LC. McConaughey should be our unofficial team agent and get some more Dr. Pepper commercials for the NIL fund. I have a theory that Arch will be on the season finale of Fansville. I think they're setting it up. I think it's good intrigue. I think it's good business. I think you make Arch show up later on in Fansville as the backup to Quinn Ewers.
That was a pretty good stab at spelling his name too. I mean, that's better than most people do. It's not correct, but
I still could not spell it.
There's a GH. There's a G in there somewhere. I'm pretty sure. Maybe a U as well. But that wasn't bad. Yeah, that's want to keep Quinn upright, get some more pub for the program and pub for himself. He deserves it.
Yeah, it's also awesome to see a shy kid is coming out and now he's doing national commercials. To see his growth in front of a camera has been awesome. Will KJ Lacey get playing time when he gets to Texas? There are lots of QBs ahead of him and Diabell behind him. That's a fun one.
He's got to come in and be ready. So by the time Trey Owens starts, Arch will be gone. It'll be Trey, and KJ's supposed to be as ready as ready as Arch was, or Malik Muhammad when he first came in. You got to be ready because you don't know when your time's going to get called. But I don't know how it's all going to shake out. It's probably, to me, it's going to play out where, Bryce Young came in highly touted, but had to wait behind Mac Jones, where Trey Owens is Mac Jones. Sark really, really prioritizes having experience at quarterback. We saw where that really hurt Texas in the 8-5 season, Quinn's first season. They really lacked having experience. So experience is going to get you on the playing is going to level the playing field if somebody has more talent than you. And then it turns out Trey Owens has quite a bit of talent too. I don't know how it's going to work out. Maybe Lacey's more mentally prepared. He surely got the advantage on Dia Bell. But I'm not sure. Just keep stacking good quarterbacks and it'll work out.
Good stuff. Eric, any questions you want to hit before we roll out of here?
Let's see. I don't know. I still don't. Let's see if I can figure this one out. This is like reading the bottle caps in
That's just responding to Quinn getting national.
Okay. Yeah. He looked. It was the best quarterback acting since Brett Favre in Something About Mary.
Bryce Young actually had it. He had the California kid. I thought Bryce Young's acting was actually really strong. I was like, you can tell he grew up where he grew up.
Yeah. Let me answer this guy. Now I just need to Toby Hastrup. I need to see his highlights before I can opine. I'm writing his name down. He's from London. So he likes football. All right. 5 sacks, huh? Damn, I'll have to check him out. Matey Creek. Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about him yet, Rich, but we'll check him out. If you know him, reach out to me on Twitter and get me in contact.
Yeah, definitely gonna check him out. Starting to see that a lot more kids coming from across the water, moving over here to play football and going up and recruiting.
I mean, you get people from London.
If you grow out of soccer, if you outgrow it, because their big players are still pretty small for football. You might as well. All right, let's finish with this one, huh?
Yeah, Texas now has 3 2026 recruits, although in my mind, I'm not sure if Chris Stewart will remain in the class. When do you think the 2026 recruits will begin committing at a high level? January?
You'll probably see a few more trickle in a little bit earlier just because the good ones are more inclined to jump in sooner if Texas is winning. And some guys just don't care about the process, right? Like Lance Jackson committed in January. He didn't give a damn about the process, even though he's a future 5-star. But they're still going to be really selective.
Not a future 5-star, a 5-star.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not going to. 5-stars don't like to jump in because that hurts their leverage, right? You want as much leverage as possible. I'm not sure how many 2026 recruits we have right now, so we'll hold it on that.
Well, we have to finish on our daily prayer, which is Jonte World, and do not sleep on Jonte. I want everyone to take that with you today. Repeat that several times. Meditate on it. Make sure whatever you're doing today, you are not sleeping on Jonte Cook, because we sure do not do such a thing. Eric, Coach, thank you guys for hanging out. Tomorrow we will be back on with Paul Wadlington and myself, 9:30 a.m. We will talk about the UTSA game, but more importantly, we'll look ahead to ULM. Appreciate you guys for hanging out, and hook 'em.